guess if you're feeling good about London bridges, we're going to move on to exercise 2.11. This is on page 10, I believe. Page 10 of the book. Yep. This is the first exercise right underneath London bridges. They're on page 10. So exercise 2.11, 2.11. So what we're going to do is break this exercise down. We're going to start on low G and go to B. Let's just play that. We're going to do each of these 3 times. So low G to B, and one more. Now we're not going to go on to the next note after B, which would be A, the next measure, A to C. Instead, we're going to go from B, where we just landed, to A. So now we're going to do that 3 times. And again. And one more. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing from that A to C. Here we are with the tricky transition. To the middle finger and the ring finger come up as the pinky goes down. Right at the same time, we got a little snap. So the pinky makes contact right when the other 2 fingers come off. We don't want to have any time in which all 3 fingers are up off the chanter and then the pinky comes. We also don't want to have the pinky touch before the other 2 fingers come up. Both will make a funky sound in between the 2 notes we're going for. We want to go straight from one note to the other. So here we go. A to C 3 times. Okay, so now C to B. Again, let's not have the pinky and middle finger floating up in the air. Let's not have the middle finger come down before the pinky leaves. The middle finger and the pinky swap places on the chanter, just right in the same instant. C to B. And now B to D. Okay, same thing. We're snapping the pinky down with the other 2 fingers coming up right in the same instant. B to D. Okay, now D to C. And as much as you can, look at my fingers as long as you need to, but as much as you can, look at the music. Focus on these notes so that as you play D, you're looking at a D, and as you play C, you're looking at the C that comes after it. Again, to build that connection between your eyeballs and your fingers, so that when you see a note, your fingers play that note. Now C to E, really tricky one. The ring finger on the top hand and the pinky on the bottom hand are both coming up as the bottom hand's middle and ring fingers come down. Okay, all at the same time. We don't want to hear this. Okay, don't want that. We also don't want this. Can you hear that little tiny change between that difference is going to be just way more obvious on the big pipes. So it's important to train now to not have that kind of crossover either. Okay, so C straight to E 3 times. Good. Then we go from E to D. Again, a lot of fingers moving here. The ring finger and the pinky come down as the other 3 fingers on the bottom hand, pointer, middle, ring, they all come up. E to D. Here we go. No crossover sounds. We don't want to hear. So if you're getting crossover sounds, just, slow it down. Take it carefully. Again. One more. Okay, now we're going from D up to F. So once again, we're going to have a lot of fingers moving. We're going to have the middle finger and the ring finger on the top hand come up along with the pinky on the bottom hand. Right at the same instant, the pointer, middle, and ring finger on the bottom hand come down. We've got 3 fingers coming up, 3 fingers going down. I'll change angles for you here. So we've got D. Oh, sorry. So we got D, and then we're going to F. Okay, D to F. And let's really take this one slow. Let's make sure we're playing D correctly with the pinky down, other 3 fingers up, and all the top hand down. And then when we go to F, we're going to pause for a second. We're going to double check our fingers to make sure that we got pointer finger and thumb down on the top hand, these 3 fingers down on the bottom hand, pinky up. Okay, so D. Double check your fingers, pause right there. Do you have your thumb and pointer on the top hand down with the other fingers up, and then pointer, middle, and ring down on the bottom hand with the pinky up? If you don't, fix it. And we're going to do that again. D to F. Here we go. Check again. You have the right fingering going on. Okay, last one. Now from F to E, easy, especially after what we've been doing. Here we go. Again. One more. And now from E to G, pretty darn easy. Just the middle and pointer finger on the top hand come up off the chanter. Again. One more. Now from G to F, real easy. Last one. Now from F to A, this one's pretty tricky. Even though it's not as many fingers as we've moved on some of the other switches between notes, we're moving this ring finger independently, and that's always difficult. So we're going from bottom hand is set with the 3 fingers down and the pinky up. Top hand, we're pinching the chanter. Not pinching it hard, remember, we want to stay relatively relaxed. We've got the pointer finger on the front and the thumb on the back. We're going to go from that to both of them off. But right in that same instant, we want to have the ring finger hit the chanter. So we don't want to be just floating in the air with nothing on the top hand making contact. The ring finger needs to come down. Again, I don't know if we'll be able to hear it on the practice chanter. You can hear there's a little bit of a difference there. Again, that's going to be a much more noticeable difference on the bagpipes. So it's important to get this right while you're on the practice chanter. So from F, then we unpinch, and in exactly that same instant, the ring finger comes down. Okay, here we go. And again. Check that ring finger, see if you landed on the hole. Like, look at the front of your chanter, see, are you above the hole, are you below the hole? Make sure you landed right on the hole there. One more. Okay, and then to finish it off, we'll go from A to G. This one's a bit tricky too. So you've got your hand, it's, sometimes it does happen like this, that your fingers are set like this, and all you do is kind of move your hand forward and backward. It's probably not the very best way to do it, have some finger movement in there, because this way you do end up with a gap. There's this little instant in between, right here, where nothing's touching the chanter. So you get this little like wonky sort of, where you kind of end up at your note, but you hit this other kind of midway note in between. So we want to go from G, and right when the thumb snaps on, the ring finger snaps off, okay, to A, G to A, okay? We don't want to have any time when your hand's just totally floating off the chanter and there's nothing being covered at all. So here we go from A to G. Yeah. So here we go from A down to G. And another. Last one. Okay, so now we're going to do the whole exercise. We're going to break it into pieces though. We're going to do the first 2 measures, then we're going to pause and kind of reset for the next 2. So here we go from the very beginning. It's G, B, A, C. Here we go. Okay, we'll do that together one more time. From the beginning, here we go. clear, for these exercises, you don't need to be worrying about timing. We do have quarter notes written into measures here, but if it's not perfectly like dum, 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 it's okay if you're pausing for just a minute, like dum, 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 or however it comes out. We just want to get the notes right with a clean transition from one note to the other. So if you need to work on those first two measures a few more times, just pause the video, run through them a few more times, and then we're going to do the next two measures here. So we left off on that C. Now we're going to go B, D, this is in the third measure, B, D, C, E. We'll do these ones really slowly at first because we've got a lot of fingers moving around here. So here we go. Really pay attention to your transition from C to E. That's a really common spot to have a crossover. You hear that low blip in between? We don't want that to happen at all, so listen carefully to your own playing. We'll do it together one more time. Here we go, from B in the third measure. So, pause it, go over those two measures a few more times. We're going to pick up from the fifth measure, D to F, down to E to G. Here we go. Do that together one more time. Okay, pause the video, go through those measures a few more times, and to finish it off, we've just got the F, A, G. Here we go. One more time together. Okay, so go back and go over that a few times. Sorry, I forgot. I started moving this banjo when we do the videos because it echoes a lot when I'm talking right next to it. Go ahead and go through that line a few more times. Pause the video, run through those measures. Any spot that's especially tricky for you, just go over it a few times. Always double checking your fingers that they're landing in the correct positions with pinkies up where they should be up and stuff like that. And then come back and unpause the video. Now we're going to go through that whole line really slow together. And then you can rewind it and go over it a few more times if you want to, or pause it and just go over it yourself. Then we'll go through the whole line at sort of a medium pace. Do the same, and then we'll do the whole line at a faster pace. So here we go. All of exercise 2.11 at a slow pace, okay? We're going to move steady, but nice and slow. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and. And I apologize, I sped that up a little bit after the count off. Well, hopefully not too much. Here we go, just a little bit faster. I'm going to turn to this side in case that's helpful to see the top hand a bit more. 1, 2, ready, and. Again, don't feel like you have to keep going with me on this next one. Pause the video, go over it a few times. Now we're going to do it at a faster pace. 1, 2, ready, and. Good. Go over these exercises, like on the day that you're watching the video for the first time, but go over them again tomorrow and the next day, and even as you start moving on to the next exercises. When you sit down to practice, go back and run through all the exercises again, especially once we start doing embellishments. These exercises aren't something that you have to just do until you've got them down once and then move on and never touch them again. It's great to come back and go over them over and over and over again for finger dexterity, memorization, stuff like that.